This is the Harley Sportster. It's got everything a proper Harley should have. Air-cooled V-twin engine, classic vintage styling, and an exhaust note that sounds like a lion that's just stood on a plug. And this one's quite special because this is my Harley Sportster. And having owned and daily ridden it for well over a year now, I find myself asking the question, is it actually any good? Well, despite over 6 decades of history, the Sportster has seen updates to keep it firmly in the present.
For instance, despite the old school looks, there's no carburetor on this one. It's all fuel injected, which makes starting the thing that little bit easier on those cold mornings. It's also got a keyless ignition system with a wireless key fob, so you don't need to fumble with keys, just get on the bike and go.
The cockpit is sparse, featuring only a small LCD screen to tell you what gear you're in and how far you've travelled. And this Spartan theme continues throughout the whole styling of the bike, with no fairings or frills or distractions of any kind, leading to a classic and timeless look that gets plenty of compliments when the side stand is down. Of course, it couldn't be a classic without a rumbly air-cooled V-twin engine, and that's the secret that makes a Sportster feel like an authentic Harley.
All of its power delivery is really low down in the rev range, making these traffic light pull-offs quite fun and addictive. It's not going to set the world on fire with its power, which is pretty abysmal given the size of this engine, but there's enough torque on offer to keep things fun. This bike is definitely more at home in towns and cities than it is on the motorway and cruising, but I don't know, as soon as you get to around 3k RPM, everything kind of like smooths out, the mirrors become usable again, and the whole thing just sings.
So it's got enough power for a new rider to learn to master and a more experienced rider to learn to live with. Luckily, as with all things on this bike, there's an almost endless aftermarket catalogue of bolt-on upgrades to give the bike a bit more go. You'd be forgiven for thinking that an overweight and underpowered thing like this would handle like some kind of asthmatic pig that's gone ice skating, but luckily Harley put that in the skinny 19-inch wheel up front, which really helps the bike lean in and turn easily, making it feel a lot more nimble and agile than the figures would suggest. They've also resisted the temptation to fit forward controls to this model, giving you more control and more feedback on the road. It's really only when you start looking beyond the noise and the fanfare that things start to go a little bit wrong. Despite an update to the suspension in 2016, the rear shocks just seem non-existent. The front ones aren't much better either, but they do at least suck up some of the terrible British roads. The brakes also apparently got an upgrade in the same year, but I dread to think what they were like before that, because bringing this unit to a stop can often feel like that bit in Spider-Man 2 where Tobey Maguire has to stop a train. The Comfort 2 is a bit of a mixed bag. What starts off as a comfortable, slightly sporty riding position will soon have you on first name basis with your chiropractor. Good thing the tank is only good for about 100 miles, because that's about the distance that you want to stop and stretch your legs. Luckily, with this bike, anything you don't love or that you'd like to change, you'll likely have several options for in the aftermarket. You can fit forward controls or higher bars, comfier seats, and even better brakes or bigger pistons. That's one of the main draws of the Sportster, the ability to take a blank canvas and make it your own. And that's probably why this little machine has lasted for over 6 decades. In the end, the Sportster is a bike that stays true to its roots. It's not the fastest, the most practical, or the most comfortable bike out there, but it's not trying to be. It's a Harley Davidson, with all the quirks and character that come with the badge. It's about the look, the sound, and the feel, the true essence of motorcycling. And as you ride into the sunset, rumbling around with that iconic V-twin engine, you'll understand exactly why this bike has endured for over half a century. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Harley Sportster. Not perfect, but perfectly Harley. And if I have to explain that, you probably wouldn't understand.